And we are live. Everybody, welcome to Indie Comics Interviews. Tonight we have a special guest. We have Michael Derrick with his book Grayscale, and he is going to tell us all about Grayscale. Please. Oh, and also Preston with his Doc Salem, Nikki the Pipe, obviously on Twitter, and of course Road Rage. Not
Indiegogo?
the Indiegogo,
Oh,
but
Rockabilly Road Trip on
yeah,
Indiegogo.
Rockabilly Road Trip. I had my head stuck in something else. Rockabilly Road Trip is also what he's doing on. So, but right now we're gonna listen to Michael Derrick tell us about Grayscale.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. I do appreciate it. Grayscale is a 60-page full-color superhero comic about a vigilante who controls the power of karma. He can see people's karma, and which really helps him find out who the bad guys are. And there's plenty of bad guys to choose from in the city that he operates out of, Glitter City, which is a fictional version of Las Vegas, kind of like Las Vegas cranked up to 11. So a lot of crazy characters inhabit this city that we've created here. So going to be a lot of cool fights, a lot of crazy powers, and pretty much everything I love about superheroes is going to be packed into those 60 pages.
All right. Well, that makes me want to ask you then, what it is that you love about superheroes.
I love the simplicity of it. I love that it's just crazy characters with weird names with crazy powers, just beating the crap out of each other. It's just, to me, that's pure comics. And I know it's kind of been popular in recent years to kind of look down. People kind of look down their nose at the superhero genre. It's like, oh well, it's because I think there's some resentment due to the fact that superheroes and comics have kind of become synonymous with each other, which is understandable because I do agree that comics are a medium and they should feature any and all genres. But at the same time, I feel like we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and we got to appreciate the fact that superheroes kind of built the medium in a weird way, and so. And I think there's some people might say, the genre is kind of played out and it's been around for so long. How could you do anything new? But I'm attempting to challenge that notion with this book because while it is inspired by what came before, I'm certainly trying to do something new and hopefully pave some new ground and hopefully make a iconic character, which they say cannot be done, but we'll see because I think we've got something special here with Grayscale.
Yeah, I don't see how they cannot. I mean, everybody who says they can't be done is an idiot because nobody anticipates an iconic character. They happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah.
I mean?
I would have never thought that Invincible would become an iconic character, to be honest. Like, because it's so, the costume's super generic. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough.
Yeah. I mean, really, yeah, I think more than anything, it just comes down to the execution. I mean, and that's really what I love about superheroes is you can have like the stupidest guy, like a character with the stupidest name and really dumb powers, but if you take it seriously and you just kind of embrace the silliness of the genre and you go all out, I mean, they could provide some really entertaining stories. So, that's what I really love about the superhero genre is just the potential is endless for all kinds of crazy stories.
Yeah, crazy stories are fun. I mean, there's a lot of approaches to storytelling. I mean, with superheroes, you wanna go over the top because I mean that's why you need a superhero. So that's
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so tell us what led to the inspiration of Grayscale.
A few different things. The idea of using karma as a superpower is one I've had for a while. I always thought that would be kind of cool to take this kind of lofty, mystical concept of, balancing, the scales of good and evil and all that. And every action has a equal and opposite reaction and all that. That seemed to me like a good concept to turn into like a utilitarian superpower. But it kind of just took me a while to figure out the right character to fit that with.
Right.
But when kind of the crowdfunding scene kind of blew up in 2018 on Indiegogo, you had all these creators coming out with these original characters. like Cyber Frog, even though that had been around in the 90s. Red Rooster, Bigfoot Bill, Lone Star, all these artists were coming out with these original characters, and it really did remind me of the 90s image revolution. When all these fantastic artists came out with their original characters, and it's the founding of Image Comics. And so to me, I was inspired by that, and I wanted to put myself back in 1992 and kind of put myself in the shoes of one of the Image founders and say, if I was one of those guys, and what would my original character be? Like, who would my edgy anti-hero of the 1990s be? Because I'm a big fan of Spawn and characters like that. So I kind of wanted to look at it from that way. And so the ideas just kind of flew from there, and it kind of got fused with my idea for using karma as a superpower. And like I said, this is very 90s inspired, but I didn't want it to be a pastiche of what came before. So I am trying to take that inspiration from the 90s, but kind of add my own spin on it.
All right, so a couple questions from all that make me curious. Okay, so the first thing is, like, where did the whole beginning of karma as a superpower? I mean, you said that you've wanted it for a while, but where did that part come from? Like, what inspired that element for you?
It wasn't. I don't think there was any like one moment, like the light bulb going off over my head or anything like that. But I think it just seems kind of natural, really. At their core, all superheroes are these people who seek justice, and justice and instant karma and all that. It really does seem like a perfect fit. I mean, instant karma videos on YouTube get millions and millions of views. People love seeing people get their comeuppance, and so to take that concept, because I personally, I would love for karma to be real. Like, I would love to think that bad people will ultimately get their due. It's in some form or another. It might take a while. I don't know if that's real. I hope it is, but I have my doubts. I tend to think that evil people probably get away with most of their evil doings. But at least in a fictional world, I could play out the wish fulfillment of bad guys being brought to justice. So, I think it really just goes hand in hand with the archetype of a superhero.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, so then my next question is, now karma as a superpower. All right, so please explain to everybody how that works.
Yeah, it seems so simple now when I explain it, but it took me a while to figure out how I wanted karma to be used specifically, like in a practical sense, because there's a lot of different directions you can go with it. But and one of the fun things about the book will be seeing how the character comes up with creative ways to use karma, because he's still fairly new in his crime fighting career, so he's still kind of figuring things out for himself. But in the most basic sense, he uses karma. He uses it to first of all, he can see people's karma, which is the main thing. He can enter what he calls the gray state, where everything in his vision turns into literal grayscale. So it kind of looks like a 1950s sitcom, and from there it's almost like his bullet time. Like he's in like an extreme state of focus, and he can see people's individual auras, and their aura is a reflective of their personal karma. So if someone's got a really like dark, black, evil, swirling energy around them, that they've done some heinous things in their life and they've got some really bad karma. And then he can, of course, deal with them accordingly. So that's kind of how he chooses his targets. And he also has a kind of a finishing move called instant karma, where he could cash in a bad guy's karma on the spot and cause them instant misfortune. So the universe, if someone has bad karma, you expect, at some point the universe is going to give them a kick in the ass. But with Grayscale, he can just, he could do it right then and there on the spot. And, things will the universe will kind of shift into place to make that happen right then and there. And usually to pretty spectacular results. So there'll be some. You'll definitely get to see that play out in the books.
Yeah. Now, since he just sees like colors or something surrounding somebody with bad karma, he doesn't really know what it is that they did then, right? So he can't like get them
Yeah.
back with some kind of equal measure, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did consider going in that direction, kind of like the Crow, like giving the bad guys like ironic punishments based on what they did. But I felt like that might be a little too gimmicky. So yeah, he at least for now he can't see exactly what they did. He just knows that they did do some bad things if they do have bad karma, obviously. But
does he have the ability to make them refresh their karma before he takes them out, or anything like that? I mean, is there any kind of impact of that at all?
Yeah, it won't be a case of like because honestly there's really not that many characters that have like used karma as a superpower. The one I always like compare it to is like Ghost Rider. He has his penance stare, but it won't be a case of like that where with Ghost Rider with his penance stare he'll actually make the person relive what like the bad things that they did and kind of like inflict the hurt that they put on other people on themselves. But I didn't want to copy that, so it won't be a case of that though. Like I said, he is still learning his powers, and there will be a time in the future, hopefully, if this is just the first book of many, where he will unlock different aspects of using karma. And I guess I could give away that, yeah, at some point he will actually be able to see, what the bad guys actually did. But that's he's kind of got to level up to get to that point.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. All right, so those are some pretty interesting original elements. I mean, karma itself as a superpower is different. I mean, obviously, we've addressed a couple of other instances where something similar, what I mean, where obviously the penance stare of Ghost Rider and but this is different. So now, does he have super strength? Does he have super speed? Can he fly? Is there anything like that?
No, as far as like actual superpowers, it is just karma for him. So, that's kind of why he wields his what I call his trusty truncheon, that black bat. That's kind of his equalizer because yeah, other than seeing people's karma and in some cases cashing in their karma, he is just a regular dude, albeit one who has extreme physical training. Obviously, he's a peak physical condition by design because if you're going to go out into the streets and try to fight supervillains, you need to be in as great a shape as possible. So yeah, no super strength or anything like that. He is just a highly trained human being that just happens to be able to see people's karma. So he's going to have his work cut out for him because there's a lot of crazy supervillains in Glitter City with some pretty ridiculous powers. So he's not going to have an easy time with a lot of these people that he hunts down, and he's probably going to break a few bones in the process.
Does he have any sidekicks or companions? Guys in the back room, anything like that?
No sidekick, but he does have a mentor character called Charteris. He's kind of the Master Splinter to his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or his I guess you could say the Alfred to his Batman. So yeah, he does have a mentor character that's kind of taught him the ropes, but and we'll definitely get into their relationship and because Charteris, he's kind of tied into a Grayscale's origin, which we're going to keep somewhat vague in the book. I didn't want this first book to just be a pure origin story. Like I just kind of wanted to dive right into the action and then kind of give hints and little flashbacks here and there of how he came to be. So that'll definitely his relationship with Charteris will definitely be tied into his origin story.
Sweet. Sweet. I got a sneeze coming on, so if I'm making faces, it's got nothing to do with what you're saying. It's just like those sneezes that sit right behind your nose, and they're right there. I got one of them coming at me right now.
Let it out, man.
So then, okay, so this is cool. Now, who are these people behind him on the cover?
Yeah, so I really dig this cover because it kind of symbolizes the themes of duality and good and evil and all that we're going for in the book. So on the right hand side, we have the good guy characters. The aforementioned Charteris is that bearded fellow on the far right. That is his mentor. And then the female there, that is his love interest. Her name is Felicity, and she plays a big role in kind of getting to know the man behind the mask, and the guy right next to her, that is Grayscale unmasked. So
this guy here with the gray hair is Grayscale.
Yep. Yeah, and we'll get to know his personal life. I promise it won't be anything boring or anything like that. I think we have a pretty interesting and fun take on the whole secret identity trope. Yeah, expect some really cool things. And then, of course, on the left side, we have some of the villain characters in the book. Our left, probably my favorite villain character. He's a guy. His name is Repo. I describe him as the Grim Reaper on steroids. He's basically this hulking mass of muscle who wields a chain scythe, and he's got that Grim Reaper aesthetic.
He kind of here.
Yeah, with the hood. He's kind of he moonlights as a debt collector for Glitter City, for the Glitter City underworld, and he's just this huge hulking monstrosity. And then the purplish bluish lady, her name is Phantasmagoria. She can create thought forms out of her psychedelic hallucinations. So I kind of compare her. She's kind of like the poison ivy in Grayscale's Rogues Gallery. And then the guy with the visor, he's inspired. I really like him. His name's the Brass Ring, and he's inspired by the Spider-Man villains, where how guys like Scorpion and Rhino, they're kind of like they're not like these mad scientists. They're just kind of these dudes that get gifted with these incredible like power suits and like kind of use them for nefarious purposes. That's kind of what we're going for here with Brass Ring. So he has a suit that could generate electricity, and not just generate electricity, but it actually taps into the power system of Glitter City itself. So it's almost, he's able to weaponize Glitter City itself.
So he draws power from the grid, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
that's very cool. All right, so let's take a look at some of this artwork here.
Yep, we got the first 5 pages of the book fully colored and lettered. If people think the concept is pretty cool, but they're wondering how it's going to be executed, you could definitely read through those first 5 pages, in which Grayscale breaks up a casino robbery. So
interesting. Definitely. The link is in the description, everybody, by the way, and also in the chat. I see Jaymes Hayes is here doing the amazing mod delivery of several links at once. Hail Jaymes Hayes.
Thank you,
Kicks
James.
ass. He does kick ass. So what's this? Is this another cover? What are we looking at here?
Oh, that's a splash page in the book. It's kind of the first introduction of the character. I did say I wanted to avoid, kind of a lot of the cliche tropes, but of the superhero genre. But I just couldn't resist the classic hero introduction, where his logo is actually used in the introduction and the lettering. So I did indulge myself a bit with that moment. But yeah, that's one of the sequential pages.
We have Metal Movies and Brewskis in the chat. Hail Metal, how you doing? Rock on, brother. Let's see here. So, okay, is there a significance to the fact that he's gray, other than by going grayscale, he can see the karma? Is there any other significance to the being grayscale itself?
Yeah. I mean, the name Grayscale has a couple different meanings. Obviously, because to see karma, he does enter that gray state where everything is in grayscale. Another meaning is that the K stands for karma, and then also scale kind of represents the scales of justice. So we got a few different meanings in his name. But also, you know, I think the symbolism of him being decked out in gray is pretty interesting because I kind of view him like, you know, he kind of sees the world in black and white in a weird way because you know, the good guys have white karma, the bad guys have black karma, and he's kind of it right in the middle, kind of the shade of gray, kind of judging everybody. And not just that, but he also, you know, since he is kind of inspired by those anti-heroes of the 1990s, he does kind of walk a fine line between, you know, maybe taking things a little too far sometimes. And, you know, he is a hero, but, you know, he'll be put in some moral quandaries where we'll see if he makes the right choice because, you know, he is a human at the end of the day. And he is certainly a flawed individual, even though his intentions might be good. So, yeah. And, yeah, just part of the symbolism of the book, I suppose.
Right on. Metal says really digging the grayscale design and character concept. So
thank you, sir.
You got a fan there. You got a fan going on.
Nice.
Yeah. See, let's take a look here. Still the first 5 pages, right? This is where he's breaking up the casino thing. Okay.
Yep.
He's being nice and violent. Now these aren't real aliens. These are just dudes in masks.
Yeah. I wanted to give the casino robbers an interesting gimmick, so I gave them alien masks as a kind of a tribute to my previous book, The Abductables, which was a sci-fi action comedy that did feature the little green men. So yeah, that's just kind of my nod to my previous work.
I kind of miss that they used to do that all the time, and it was something that like I didn't realize that it was that it was done in comics so regularly until I actually watched the Batman series from the 60s. You know what I mean? Because all the henchmen all were like costume coordinated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Because I didn't want them to just be kind of the generic guys in ski masks. Like this is superheroes, so you know, anytime I can give someone a really over the top gimmick, I definitely want to go for it because not only do they have the alien mask, but they actually wield ray guns as well. So they really committing to the bit, so to speak. But yeah,
sweet, fun. But they get their asses kicked. So he is his costume bulletproof or anything like that, or?
Yeah, it's pretty well armored. It can definitely take some bullets, though. If someone has a high enough caliber and they just start blasting him with like a machine gun, he might be in trouble. But yeah, he'll he could. It's very durable, fireproof. He can take some damage, but he is human underneath, so he can really only take so much. But yeah, he's fairly well armored.
Yeah. Let's see here then. So this is where he's calling Homeboy out.
Yep.
Oh, we don't get to see him destroy Homeboy?
Yeah, that's the very next page. But I wanted to kind of play with the idea of, because he can see people's karma. It's funny because this opening scene, he supposedly he saves this casino. This is the guy who owns the casino that just got robbed. So he's kind of like seen by the people as kind of a victim of a crime, but Grayscale is actually calling him out because he has the worst karma of anybody in the room, including the armed robbers. So I thought that would be kind of fun to play with people's perceptions. And of course, there is more to the story as far as that goes. But yeah, it's.
I like how you give all the girls the right kind of comic book proportions.
Yeah, shout out to our artist PK. That's kind of his specialty. He loves drawing the hourglass women. So yeah, he's not shy about putting in those superhero
curves.
Yep.
Curves. Definitely. So K stands for karma. We got you as the writer. We got PK as the artist. No, I don't know this name here, but I do know the book for the colorist.
Yeah, Eugene Betivu. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I just call him Eugene. He's colored a bunch of crowdfunding projects. He also did Magic Cop and a few others. But yeah, I'm a big fan of his work. And I mean, as you can see with those preview pages, he does excellent job.
He does good work, yeah. And then James Reed as the letterer, logo design. Brandon Diaz, we know who that is, Magic Cop. And then executive producer, you. Obviously, there's a perk related to that. Let's see here. What's this?
This is a pinup done by cash grab artist extraordinaire Donald DeLay.
Is this the one that's the original art for 350?
Yep. That's a scan of the original art, but this was done on physical media, 11 by 17 Bristol board, which if you're familiar with Donald DeLay, you'll know that that's pretty rare because he mostly works digitally. But yeah, I really love how that piece turned out. We're actually getting it colored right now by Eugenie. We should have that probably ready by tomorrow. He's just asking.
I'm surprised. Don DeLay is a pretty popular artist. I'm surprised this is still sitting here.
Yeah, and we, some people like kind of yelled at me like, "Why are you selling it for so little?" But I wanted to keep the prices on everything in this project as low as possible, to really incentivize people to, get in on the action. So yeah, we got the original art for $350, and that also not only we get the original art, but that does come with a copy of the book as well, and shipping is included with that. So for $350, you'll get the original art, the book, and the ash can. So
that's pretty awesome.
Yep.
As long as you don't like shipping to the moon or something. International Space Station, you got to ship it up there. It's like...
One day.
Now, did you draw this? Where's this drawing from? Or this
is our, no, this is our other piece of original art. This was a sketch card done by Alterna Comics founder Peter Simeti. He's I'm sure you guys have seen these floating around on Twitter. He does a bunch of different sketch cards for people, and I definitely wanted to get in on the action, so I had him do one for Grayscale, and it is signed by Peter. So we do have a perk where you can get that signed sketch card, which is in a pretty nice plastic slip case, and that does come with a copy of the book as well. So if you want to own some original art from Peter Simeti, we also have that.
Now, what's this Indie Comics giveaway?
So once we hit 100 backers, one of those backers will be randomly chosen to receive a Indie Comics bundle delivered right away for free. So you'll get a whole bunch of different comics from Alterna, Comicsgate campaigns, and a few other publishers. Just another incentive to back early, because I think we're at 90 backers right now. So once we hit 100, I will choose a random backer to send out that package to. So don't miss your chance to get some free comics.
All right, now your stretch goals. Those are a ways from now. So your first stretch goal is exclusive trading card featuring the original art and the character stats.
Yep.
And then 10K is Welcome to Glitter City travel brochure. That's kind of fun. Would that be like a trifold, or what is that going to be?
Yeah, kind of just like a fold-out pamphlet featuring original art of the different hotspots in Glitter City. So if you're like me and you're a fan of world building, this is definitely going to be a fun add-on for all backers if we do hit that stretch goal. It'll have original art of all the hotspots of Glitter City, and it'll also have like descriptions of them. And hoping that this is just the first book of many, we're going to be visiting a lot of those places in future installments. So it's kind of our version of the fantasy map found in fantasy novels, like in the back of the book. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. And then so the Phantasmagoria, that's the purple chick on the cover. So this is the pinup of her.
Yep.
But she has no nipples or genitalia.
She has them underneath, like her psychic, like she can create, like her psychedelic hallucinations kind of become physical reality. So it kind of covers her skin almost like a bodysuit. So that she is like a normal woman underneath all that. But yeah, when her powers are active, she just becomes this floating, psychedelic monstrosity.
Very cool. And then Dark Ages Ashcan. What's that?
That's an add-on perk that you can choose at checkout. That's a 24-page original sci-fi story written and drawn by Grayscale artist PK. So if you want a little more bang for your buck, if you want to add that on at checkout, you can definitely add that, and we'll include it with your order. and we got some
Okay.
preview pages for it there.
Interesting. All right, let's go look at your perks. Let's see here. You got the obvious. You featured the Don DeLay original art.
Yep.
And I'm surprised. I mean, you've been at your campaign like 20 days, and I'm surprised
Yeah, but
that's around.
well, yeah, we only added that about a week ago though, so
That's
you know,
why.
yeah, that
Okay.
is a fairly new addition to the campaign.
People aren't even aware of it fully yet, then, because they probably the first time they checked out your campaign, it wasn't there. So. So they probably think that they probably just like, well, I've checked out the campaign. I don't even know it's there. So
yeah, that's why I changed the thumbnail to that image. So hopefully people will give it another look because yeah, it used to be the cover art was the thumbnail image on Indiegogo, but now we changed it to the Donald DeLay art.
You should start tweeting it out like 3 times a day. You know, just that, you know, hey, did you know that this original art from Don DeLay is on this campaign for $350?
Yeah.
Just I mean, just announce that. You know.
Oh yeah, I've been tweeting up a storm. So yeah.
Because I mean, once the right Don DeLay fan comes across, and like, what? And they're gonna jump on it because it's Don DeLay. So. And then obviously a digital copy for $10. That's kind of self-explanatory.
Yep.
And they only got 4 of those claimed. So that proves my theory of digital right there. No, okay.
Hey, that's $40 we wouldn't have had. So I am pro digital, and I will die on that hill. Damn it.
Yeah.
No, I should say all physical orders do come with the digital. So you know, I definitely recommend backing physical if you can.
And then the physical copy, $15, and that's like what, $7 shipping, $10 shipping,
$5 shipping,
$5 shipping.
Yep.
Let's see here, the 2 physical copies.
Yep. So you know, if you like to have one to read and one to, you know, keep bagged and boarded, or if you want to give it out or sell it or whatever you want to do with it, you can get 2 for a little bit of a discount.
Now, how many are included here in the bulk order?
Bulk order, it includes 5 signed, bagged, and boarded copies. So again, you'll get another discount for collectors. So it'd be $10 a pop.
Now, this is a 60-page book. Are you gonna go perfect bound, or?
It is going to be a floppy, like traditional floppy comic, though. That is one of our stretch goals. If we hit 20,000, we would then upgrade it to a trade paperback.
Okay. And then the Peter Cementi sketch card right there.
Yep.
And then art commission with book. Now, this is a commission from who?
This is from Grayscale artist PK. We actually just added this the other day. This is another edition. So yeah, you'll get a copy of the book and a digital art commission of any character of your choosing by Grayscale artist PK. So
sweet. And then this is getting drawn into the book.
Yep. Yep. You can be a character in the book for $150. That also comes with 3 copies of the book itself. We have 2 of those claimed already, so there's only 1 more slot available if you want to have your likeness drawn into the pages of the book.
Yeah. What if you want somebody else's likeness drawn into the page of the book?
Hey, whoever you want, yeah, go for it.
I'm saying you could bring that up to war campaign. They're like buying perks up.
Yeah, and, you won't just be like a random like background character either. You'll actually, I mean, you won't have a speaking role necessarily, but you will be interacting directly with Phantasmagoria, our psychedelic character.
Okay, so specifically, you'll be interacting with her.
Yeah, she'll literally blow your mind because she kind of unleashes havoc on the hapless citizens of Glitter City, and you'll be one of her victims if you get drawn into the book. So,
well, there you go, everybody. So when you are looking for something to get drawn into, you know, now you have an idea of you can be a victim of a hallucinogenic villain.
Yes.
That's gotta. I'm actually looking forward to seeing how you implement that, because it sounds very interesting. And then this is the executive producer one. Now, $200 gets you what?
This gets you everything. This gets you 4 signed copies of the book. It gets you the proof copy. It gets you a sketch card by me. It gets you a digital commission by Grayscale artist PK. Gets you the Dark Ages ash can, and probably the main attraction here is that you'll actually get your name listed on the credits page along with the rest of the creative team, both on the credits page and on the front cover of the book. So you will literally be listed as executive producers. So if you want your name to be immortalized in the pages of comic book, there you go. Get the executive producer perk, and shipping is included in that.
Oh, sweet. Well, that's good bragging rights. So everybody who's watching, think about that when you're looking about one of these perks that you want, because this is a pretty good project. You can't let this not get taken care of. He's got a $5,000 fixed goal, which means that if he doesn't get to the $5,000, that means he's ass out. So
yeah,
so
we do need that. I never personally, some people, it's different for everybody, but I definitely didn't want to go with the flexible goal, at least for us, because we definitely need that 5,000 to make this book happen. So
yeah, definitely don't go with the flexible goal.
Yeah, yeah. I get a little worried when people choose the flexible goal and then they get like $50 on their campaign. It's like, well, good luck with that, because
I did that.
Oh no, yeah, it's
first campaign. I was like, yeah. So I'm please, Indiegogo, will you please cancel this for me?
Yeah, it's not cheap to print these books and produce them. So yeah.
If you go with a if you know that your stuff is already produced, you can go with a lower goal. If you go lower, then flexible fix doesn't make a difference, because if you're going to cross 500, you're going to cross 1,000. You're going to
yeah.
But it really comes down to how you want to do it. Like conceptually, a lot of people go with a $500 flexible goal. The thought process being that it's going to fund faster, and then the algorithm within Indiegogo is going to pick that up and try and just regularly refer it to people.
Yeah, that's kind of that's a cool trick, but I think it's kind of reserved for some of the bigger names in the Comicsgate scene, because they know for sure, like guys who have those 6-figure campaigns, they'll put their funding goal at 500 because they know they'll blow that out of the water and get like $20,000 in the first minute. So I definitely wouldn't recommend trying that trick for some of the up and comers.
Now, let me tell you, that trick does work even if you only get 500 in the first day. You know what I mean? Like, because if you get funded day one, you get treated differently. I know this because my book was circulated, because I didn't get funded the first day, but I got like a third of the way there or close to that in the first day. So what I mean? And then I know people who set their goal at 500. I set mine at 15. I know people who set their goal at 500 and hit that funding goal on the first day. And then I saw them on Indiegogo when I just opened up Indiegogo. You know what I mean? They were sitting there on the first page. And it's just a little bit of how their system works.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work the same for everybody. But
yeah, they're if that works for you, it is kind of a gamble, but it probably does pay off for some people.
It's not a gamble if you think big picture. If you know you're going to hit your mark, you know what I mean? If you press hard enough, whether you hit your mark, if you hit your mark before you go in demand or after you go in demand, you're going to hit your mark. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess I'm not at that stage yet. I don't know that I'm going to hit my mark. So maybe one day.
If your mark is $5,000, right? You've reached more than half of that in the first 30 days. If you continue to push, and get other people to help with you and continue to reach out, stuff like that, you're more than likely to reach that in the next 30 days. But if you had your like for instance, if you had that set to like 1,500, right, then like say that maybe the 60 days up and you're only at 4,500, but you're in demand, you know what I mean, and then you can push for another month, while the book's actually being drawn, because you have your fulfillment way down the road. You know what I mean? So you have your time to develop it. So you're in demand, and although it's like, so if your goal is modest enough, I mean, if you need like at least 10K to make this book happen, that's a different story. You know what I mean? But if like with my situation, my books are already done before I go. I mean, I've already had them produced. You know what I mean? It's just I just need to raise the money to print them or put the money on the next. I need money in so I can keep things flowing. You know what I mean? So, but with your situation, you guys are working on the book, right? You've only done like how many pages? I mean, have
Yeah,
you guys
just
finished it? Or?
just the 5 pages. Yeah. So
Right. So
yeah.
you're going to be drawing this book while it's in demand.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you'll be collecting more, people interested in like that. So if that's the case, you're going to definitely reach your $5,000 mark. You know what I mean? At some point. So you set your funding goals smaller and future campaigns. If you know you're going to hit your goal, even in demand, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Though I will say, Indiegogo's trending page is a little wonky because my previous campaign, the Abductables, that closed a year ago, and it's still like one of the first campaigns you see when you go through the comic section on Indiegogo. So, and I'm not the only one. There's a bunch of closed campaigns on there that are kind of cluttering up the works. So,
Well,
hopefully,
it comes down to the kind of stuff that you regularly go and look at. It's one of the things that I do, professionally is analyze how different search engines algorithms work. You know what I mean? Like there's ways to test their results. You know what I mean? Like different kinds of searches and different kinds of phrasing, different kinds of spellings, different kinds of formats to see what shows up. And then different browsers have different, because obviously this browser has cookies in it, whereas this one doesn't. So you can go in and try something different and get a different result. You know what I mean? So it's one of my little obsessions. I've been doing it for a very, very long time. So, but I've noticed that with Indiegogo, what you see is based on what you have already seen.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So if you're seeing your campaign from before, it could have a lot to do with the fact that you've been to your campaign page a buttload of times.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was originally, but other people have told me that they see my campaign there like on the top as well. So I don't know. It seems like
It's
it's for other
possible.
people as well.
It's possible they've been to it a buttload of times, or they've been to something like it, but has the same like tags or some kind of element
Yeah.
that's similar to it a buttload of times. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And so they just
Well,
keep feeding that one to them because they think they want it.
yeah.
There's because they're not. I mean, I have never seen a campaign that was closed being advertised that I haven't been to already. You know what I mean? On Indiegogo, that I haven't personally have not seen that. With now ones that I've been to that are closed.
Isn't that kind
I
of
have
the
seen.
Facebook type of algorithm system that they got? Like if you visit something on Google, on Facebook, it'll keep showing up in your ads.
Well, no, that's not like an algorithm. What you're talking about there in the ads, that's actually something completely different. The see, Blue Sea Hill here says just copy the Abductables description and then
Yeah. I don't know what I did right on that campaign, but I put the right keywords in there or something because it got funded a lot faster. So
it's also possible there's a lot of other things. I mean, something you did gets caught up on that. I mean, you never know. I mean,
yeah, there's
it's
so
like
many factors. Yeah.
I mean, there's it could have been a timing thing too. You know what I mean? It could have just been a timing thing. Yeah. So I think this is cool. I'm looking forward to seeing this. Well, one of these things I'm going to be interested to check out your Abductables page and see if I can like figure out why it was showing up, because it doesn't show up for me like that. I don't think I've ever seen it in my browsing. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't familiar with it until I saw you talk about it on another stream. So
Yeah.
so I wasn't even familiar with it. So it's not happening to people that are to just anybody at random all the time. It's got to have something that's triggering it, based on frequency of viewing or some kind of cross view connection, or what I mean, because especially because it's a closed campaign. You know what I mean? I mean, like I said, I haven't even seen when I do browsing, I haven't even seen closed campaigns unless I'm looking for like all the campaigns under a certain kind of search filter. Then it's going to pull all of them, and then if I sort them by the most popular or whatever, then it's going to show me those things. And if I do that search, that will affect how things show up for me in the future.
Right.
So, because they assume that's what I'm looking for, so they're going to try and feed me that kind of stuff again. So, but yeah, so what's this? You got your video here. Is this something that we can watch?
Yeah,
We're gonna turn this on and like get
it is.
porn.
I use the
Grayscale.
the iMovie trailer template, so that's got to be public domain, I'd imagine.
Okay. So no porn, right?
No.
Bummer. Oh, I got it muted. The credits though, like it was a movie. That's funny.
That's cool. I dig that. That was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, someone said the theme reminded them of the X-Men animated series, and now that's all I hear. So, which I guess is good.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you mention that,
Yeah.
that's I'm gonna hear that now every time that yeah, I'm gonna hear that now.
Yeah. Good theme song, huh?
Yeah. All right. So so everybody who, let's see if this has changed at all what we were going to hear. Yeah. We you know, for some reason we don't always get big numbers on these on our shows, but they usually collect more traffic later.
Oh yeah,
shit.
the live stream market is very crowded, so a lot of streams going on at the same time.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking there was too many right now though. That's the thing.
I got to dip out. I got places to be.
Oh, yeah, places to be. You going to another live stream?
Yeah. I just got sent a link. I'll talk to you later. You take it easy.
Later.
Grayscale.
Everybody go back Rockabilly Road Trip.
I feel bad. I didn't know if he was supposed to promote his book as well, because you know.
Well, I threw him a link at the last minute. He wasn't scheduled to promote anything. But having him come on, you know, to basically show his face, you know, pitches, you know, mention his book a little bit is better than nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He needs to build up his YouTube presence more. So it's good to have, you know, I try to support everybody. You know what I mean? So and he's a good friend. So. But yeah, I guess there's let's see, Winger and people have streams coming on later. So, you know, I don't know which one he's going to be on, but I'm curious now.
Yeah, I got invited to another one, I guess in like an hour. Adam AF, Arch City Comics. I think he's doing a stream. So
yeah, he's got CG Jumpstart tonight, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'll be on that one. So.
Oh, that's funny, guys. I actually sent him. I actually sent. I see his thing now. It wasn't up earlier. He must have posted it since then. That's funny. Yeah, interesting. That's one of the things about CG is sometimes the saturation is a little bit, you know, like all for the same people.
Yeah. It is kind of nice though that we have, like, you know, anybody who launches an Indiegogo campaign, it's like you have your own little press tour you can take on all the different shows and you know, get the word out. I really like that.
Yeah, it looks like there's a not too many other CGs, just Akari Press is going right now with people I'm not familiar with. Interesting. Anyway, we're all like looking at other stream sniping. All right, man. So tell us about you, man. So we've heard about your book. Tell us about you. Like, what's your background? How long have you been doing this?
I mean, it always sounds pretentious to say, but I mean, I've always wanted to tell stories, like since I was a little kid. You know, that's just something I've always done. the medium that I wanted to tell stories in has kind of changed over the years. You know, I've wanted to have my own animated series, and then you know I wanted to write movies for a while, and then you know I wanted to write a novel. But I always come back to comics. I feel like that is kind of my first love as far as like a storytelling medium. I don't know why, but I just you know I love comics, and you know obviously I would love to write a movie one day or write a novel. I actually do have plans to do that eventually, but I feel like comics will always be kind of like my main place to tell stories. And yeah, that's just something I've always wanted to do.
Sweet. So I was just reading Adam's tweet. So you're doing a part in CG Jumpstart as well?
Yeah, I did did this a while ago. I don't know when they're going to be launching the CG Jumpstart campaign, but
soon, very soon they are. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that just as a fan. But I did a one-page comic strip for them because you know before, like as a way to kind of break into comics, you know, since I am just a writer and not an artist, I kind of started doing my own web comics a few years ago. So I'm not a great artist, but I have like a you know kind of a cartoony style. So they wanted me to kind of use my webcomic style to do like a funny little one-page comic strip for them. So that will be featured in CG Jumpstart. It's kind of me kind of roasting the different personalities that surround Comicsgate and the comic book industry. So hopefully people get a kick out of that.
Do you do illustrations at all? I mean, then or
yeah, just well, yeah, not specifically. Like I've done some fan art for like other Comicsgate projects and stuff like that. You know, like I said, my art style is not great, but I think I have a pretty original art style. You know, it's just kind of cartoony and you know, definitely I have a few web comics under my belt, but that was more of a case of me just trying to you know, because it's hard to collaborate with the artist when you're broke. So in the beginning, I was like, you know, let me just draw the damn things myself, and even if my art's not great, at least I can get some storytelling out there. And it kind of worked out because the web comics kind of led me to collaborating with real artists. So you know, it definitely did serve its purpose.
That's cool. That's cool. So you can give us any spoilers about the story that that you're going to be putting out?
Yeah, it's not so much a story. It really is kind of like I guess you could call it a parody. It's just me kind of roasting the different characters in Comicsgate. You know, maybe it's a little dated already, but it's kind of a parody of Tom King's Heroes in Crisis. But I call it Prose in Crisis. So you know those 9-panel grids that were going around from that series. It's a 9-panel grid, but with all the different, you know, Ethan Van Sciver and Mike S. Miller and Mark Waid and Doug TenNapel, like all those guys. It's just me making fun of them. So yeah, I think it fits into the Mad Magazine spirit of CG Jumpstart. So I think it'll fit right in.
Right on, right on. That's cool. Yeah, everybody's looking forward to CG Jumpstart. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna be cool. I'm sorry that I came around too late to participate in the first issue. If I was like maybe like part of CG like a month earlier, you know what I mean? I probably would have been snapped up for part of that. But,
Yeah.
but it just was not.
Well, hopefully it's the first of many. So maybe you'll be able to get in the next one.
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll you know, I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of people trying to get in it, and you know,
Yeah.
and I'm not an illustrator, I'm a writer, so you know, it's not like the list is really big for us, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
yeah, but you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see
Well,
what happens.
I think they're doing a bunch of stuff though, like not just comics, but like interviews and you know, stuff like that. So I'm sure there's some way, shape, or form you can get in there.
Yeah. Well, by the time they're getting ready to do the second one, I might have another project going on top of, you know, the Captain Love projects. So I have a whole lot in the wings, but you know, I can only afford to manage this one. You know what I mean? At this point, I'm not. I don't approach it where like you know, like what you're doing. I mean, that's the kind of gamble that, you know what I mean, that would be easier to do. But I'm not an illustrator, so I can't guarantee it. You know what I mean? The same way. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I know that my team is solid. My illustrator, my colorist is solid. You know what I mean? But I can't speak for them other than what I know, which is we've created a book together. We've created chapter 1 of the next book together. We're working on the next chapter together. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I've gotten them to agree and commit to finishing it. You know,
Mhm.
but it's not the same as if I'm doing everything. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously you know that. So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So it's just when I you know
That
I
is.
started.
Oh, go
Go ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that is, as much as I love comics, that is one thing that does kind of appeal to me about writing a novel. It's like at least all of it falls on me, and because I do feel a sense of responsibility for the creative team, because they're it's not just my financial risk at stake. It's theirs as well because they've put a lot of work into this, and so I do feel the pressure of getting it done for them as well. But that is also kind of the fun of comics as well as the collaboration process.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Are you guaranteeing your team pay, or
Oh yeah,
are they just taking a percentage, or how you guys? I mean, you don't have to tell me the
both.
details, right?
Yeah, yeah, both. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I just pay my guys outright. You know what I
I
mean?
wish I could do that. Yeah.
It is not easy.
Yeah,
I've seriously broke the bank on it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
Though, yeah, it's yeah, that maybe one day I'll be able to just pay a straight up page rate because that I feel like that would be a simpler in a way because you just it's almost like
that's
a
how
work
I'm
for hire
guaranteeing.
type thing.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
I'm able to guarantee it's going to happen. Is I'm paying a page rate, I get it done, and like so everything's done before it goes into a
Hmm.
campaign. You know what I
Right.
mean? So like chapter 1 of the next book will be done when I'm doing a campaign for chapter 1. When we do
Hmm.
the campaign for chapter 2 will be finished. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and then I'll do that all 6 chapters, and then after all 6 chapters are done, then it'll be a compilation version of it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
All into a graphic novel, and
Right.
that's the only way I can do it to where it'll make sense, because then I can just keep rolling the money. And I'm going to be doing like a crowdfunding style tier. It's going to be more like a subscription model. You know what I mean? Because you're going to
Mm.
get you back all 6 chapters and the graphic novel at once. You know what I mean? And then
Hmm.
I'll have that tier available the whole process. So you
Mm.
can,
Right.
and then that way I'll overprint each of the chapters to some degree so that I can, have a limited number of all those so they become collector's items, and then I'll never print the chapters individually again.
Right.
So they just be printed once during those campaigns. Like so,
Hmm.
so like I'll and then here's the thing is like the first campaign, the first chapter 1 campaign will help me define what that number will be, because once I print those chapter 1s, I'm
Mm.
not printing any more chapter 1s. So
Right.
if a bunch of people buy chapter 1 just by itself, right, then that's
Hmm.
going to limit the amount of people that could buy chapter 1 with a backing thing. So
Hmm.
every campaign gets a smaller and smaller opportunity as it progresses. However, if I'm still going to print like the same number of books, like whatever how many the number is I print for chapter 1 is what my
Hmm.
limit will be for chapter 2. My limit will be chapter 3, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't just sell through the campaign. I also do conventions and that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. So, but
Yeah.
I make the campaign exclusive by numbering the books.
Hmm.
So like the only way to get a numbered book, so like to increase the value as a collector over the actual book, is I actually have stamped numbers, stamped gold numbers on the back,
Hmm.
to
Yeah, I think stuff like that's important, to make the actual crowdfunding campaign version of the book as special as possible because, it really isn't just I mean, it is more so in your case because the book is already done, but crowdfunding in general, it's not really just a case of, oh, you're just buying a book. Like you're actually kind of like investing in its creation in a way. So anything to make it a little more special for people is definitely important.
right. Exactly. I'm actually a little bit, worried, just because I gamble on myself. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, but it's just one of those things. You got to figure it out in time, because it
Yeah,
I
but yeah, you're really I could tell you're thinking of long term, so you're probably better off than most because most of us are just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. But it seems like you've got some real plans in work. So
Yeah, well, I think of it like this, like, okay, so the book is done, right? I've paid for it to be created, right? All I got to do is make sure I can afford to keep it in print.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, you know, I wanted to have a better campaign first time out. I really wanted to have more than just where I'm at now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping, you know, to be a lot further off, and maybe even to the point where I paid myself back, so it would be
Mm-hmm.
comfortable to keep this thing going. You know,
Right.
that wasn't the case. Printing cost me more because I didn't print as many. You know what I mean? So the
Yeah.
per book profit is smaller. You know what I
Right.
mean? Which makes it a harder lift. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And so I'm limited to a certain amount of books because they're printed. You know what I mean? And they all have a specific, you know, price to them. So it's, you know, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like if I sell them to retail, I take the biggest hit right there. You know what I mean? Because they got
Yeah.
to have their profit factor into the mix. You know what I mean? So it becomes a massive challenge to, you know, to sell. So that's why conventions are like right now, and the crowd and the campaign are my favorite ways to, you know, because I could conventions, obviously I'm making a connection, building a fan, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then hopefully they're going to read the book, and they're going to, you know, and then maybe the next time that there's a campaign, they're going to follow Captain Love somewhere, so they're going to hit the next campaign.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other aspect, obviously, the campaign itself, and because there's shipping and handling involved, there's trade cards, you know what I mean, there's things like that. There's more things involved to sell, you know, and make
Mm-hmm.
money on, and
Yeah.
you know, so and the shipping and handling, I mean, I don't make a lot on that. You know what I mean? There's like very little profit in there, but I physically do the packing and shipping myself. So I got to pay
Mm-hmm.
myself a little bit for that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's not much. I mean, it's really not much. It's like nothing, but it's
Yeah.
because, you know, it costs to ship, shipping materials cost, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everything costs. So, I mean, but you've been through this before. This isn't your first book. So,
Yeah. This is technically my second campaign. So luckily I have been through the fulfillment process before, so I somewhat know what I'm doing now. But you know, I have to admit, like the first time around, it went surprisingly smoothly. Like we didn't really run into too many problems with the Abductables campaign. So you know, fingers crossed that history will repeat itself. But yeah, it's you know, the fulfillment process. It went pretty well. You know, we only had a couple of orders that came damaged that we had to replace, but other than that, yeah.
yeah, I've had to replace 2 orders. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Then I changed the way I packed. So
mm,
you know what I mean? So what I actually do is I bubble wrap the books, then I
mm,
tape them to a piece of cardboard, and then I
mm-hmm,
tape another piece of cardboard to the other side of the bubble wrap. So it's
mm,
taped between 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 cardboard. You know what I mean? And then
yeah,
bubble wrapped. So if the package gets soaked, it's still protected by
right.
bubble wrap. You know what I mean? From
Mm,
being, you know, unless it sits in a puddle of water for a long period of time where that water can seep through the bubble wrap, you know what I mean,
yeah,
and get to the
which
book.
will probably happen at some point, but you know.
Right. But I have pictures people sent me of, you know, like the mailman abusing the package, where you can tell
Yeah.
the package is completely soaked. I mean, it's a different color. It starts off as a white envelope, and the envelope is completely gray all around, you know, torn on
Hmm.
one side, you know, and then the books are intact, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like,
They go out of their way to destroy these packages as much as possible.
yeah. Well, you know, I mean, that makes the argument for Gemini mailers, but the problem is with Gemini mailers is I have an oversized trading card, you know, thing that I send out. Like when I do online card,
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's oversized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's binder
Yeah.
sized for
Yeah.
trading cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
use the Gemini mailers, but yeah, I've heard from other people who have like the larger size format, like Crystal McGee. She's doing actually like a magazine style format for her comic, and
right.
obviously, unfortunately, she can't use the Gemini mailers because they're only so big.
Right. Well, they have supposedly. I haven't. I was on Gemini Mailer's site. I didn't see them. I know they have different sized mailers. I didn't know they had. I hear that they have different ones that have a larger slot and a larger
Mm,
pocket. but I didn't see them on the site. I know they had ones that were, designed for multiple books, like up to 12 books. You know what I mean? But they
Yeah, I think
haven't.
that's
They
just
don't.
the regular one. Yeah, the regular
No
one can fit
pocket.
up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got no pocket. It's just a book. It's just the box basically.
Hmm.
For I need to have something that'll fit in an envelope so that I can send it out of the country.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I use the Gemini mailers, and that's why because you can fit 12 like regular size comics in a Gemini mailer, but since the Abductables was 64 pages, and this book's probably going to be 64 pages, you could really only fit about 5 of those in the Gemini mailer, and I had a bulk order for Abductables that was 10 copies of the book, and I had 3 of those, but so I had to ship out 2 Gemini mailers per order. So that's why this time around I'm just doing 5 copies for the bulk order, because that's literally as many that'll fit in a Gemini mailer. So
Right. Yeah, I actually have all kinds of different strategies for different like sized orders, but yeah, they didn't. Nobody bought the bulk orders from me, so I didn't. So I'm probably not going to be doing that again in future campaigns, just because it doesn't seem to be practical. So
yeah. I mean, I only added the bulk order again for this one because we did sell 3 of them on the previous campaign, but so far no one's taken us up on the offer. So yeah, maybe bulk orders are a little overrated. I don't know. Some people say it's good for retailers, but honestly, I don't know any retailers that are carrying Comicscape books. So
well, I thought that it was. I heard that it was good for retailers, so I even set up a special retailer perk on mine to where they could get the books and then at a third off, right? So they would actually be able to get them at an affordable price. You know what I mean? So still sell them and make a profit. And I needed to have a bunch of them to make that work, and then nobody took up on it. So
yeah,
you know what I mean. So that
yeah, and I haven't seen any of these crowdfunded books like popping up in comic shops. Like no one's posting pictures or anything. So maybe that is a fool's errand to have the retailer or bulk order perk. But we're still learning the process and trying different things out.
People who buy a perk like that are looking to buy something that they can probably hawk either on eBay or at a convention or something like that. So, but my book isn't popular enough. I mean, I could see where Ethan would do that, or maybe Zach, or you know what I mean. They can get away with doing that because they're going to have a lot more people trying to demand their book, and then people who are able to like resell it for a profit above cover price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but when when me and you become like these huge names in the comic book industry, these original print runs are going to be worth so much money that these people really should buy the bulk order.
This
because
is true. This is true, especially when you go to the extreme of making sure that it's a one-off original style print. You know what I mean? Like elements that, I mean, like my cover is matte. Like the next probably ones are all be gloss. You know what I mean? Although I think I might continue to do first runs as matte. You know what I mean? A matte cover. There's 2 reasons why. One, it was something that I found after the fact, but I like the gloss the way that it looks. You know what I mean? But matte is really eye catching. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I kind of go back and forth. I'm still like,
so I was back and forth too. And then, but what sold me was that matte doesn't reflect light back. So if you're showing it on camera or you're taking a picture of it, or that's why all my books in the Twitterverse, when people are showing that my book came, that's why it always looks so perfect in their pictures, is because it's matte.
And it feels more like a comic book too, because the really thick, like glossy pages, like you said, they reflect the light, and it's like it almost feels like artificial in a way. Like the glossy pages, like it doesn't feel as like fun to hold in your hand. Like it doesn't feel like a book in a weird way. But
it
is better for colors though, so there is a trade-off, because the colors really pop on those glossy pages.
Yes, colors do pop a lot more on glossy than they do on matte. That is for certain. But it's like I was back and forth, but I think that like on the comic books themselves, you know what I mean? If I'm going to do glossy, I don't want to have like a super thick cover. You know what I mean? Because obviously you're talking about laminating it in gloss, you know what I mean? So it's matte, obviously it's not going to be as laminated, even though it technically is laminated. It's just not as thick when it's matte versus gloss. So Anyway, that's just little silly details.
Yeah.
So like here, Metal is saying something here. He says, "Legit, all these first few years of CG books will be worth a good deal someday." This is,
Yeah. I mean, I
they
think the first issue of like The Walking Dead, I think that goes for like 10 grand now. So I mean, that's and that was even though Walking Dead at Image, it started pretty small, but even that was a way bigger print run than most of these Comicsgate books, I'd imagine. So yeah, I kind of see the value going way up in years to come for sure for a lot of these books.
like the original first run Indiegogo campaign variant of Captain Love, where there's only 200 copies ever printed, and not all of those are going to get numbers on them. So having a numbered, a small numbered, a low numbered one of 200s,
Yeah.
that will, I think that'll probably be like a really like high value thing 5-10 years from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's because I'm playing the long game. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be pushing Captain Love, and I have a lot of good support within the community, but I also have people outside the community starting to push. Like I have people like who really dig what I'm doing, so they're trying to line me up conventions. Like this weekend I got both days of the weekend I'm going to be spending in this huge mall in my local town. And basically, as a featured artist. And so I got that hooked up. And then I got to go up north the next 2 weekends on both Saturdays, and up near Sacramento. And then actually one's in Sacramento, one's near Sacramento. And both of those are like really small events. But it's like they're going to be events that draw lots of people. You know what I mean? And
I think that's probably better. The smaller, the better, honestly, because you big fish in a small pond. And
I'm not a vendor; I'm a featured guest. So I got offered the thing for free. You know what I mean? So I'm there. I bring my standee, I bring my own damn table, bring my books, bring my trading cards, set up, and say, "Hey, please read you. Don't let your kid read that."
Yeah, I know. I know some people kind of think that conventions are kind of outdated, but I think I disagree. I think that's a great way to help make some revenue for your project. I mean, if I could do it, I probably would. But anybody that obviously it doesn't make sense for some of these 6-figure campaigns because they don't need it. But for smaller guys, it's definitely people make some good money on the convention circuit, so there's no reason to not do it.
The 6-figure campaigns obviously would reinforce their fan base and make bigger 6 figures the next time around. You know what I mean?
That's true.
The more people you reach and more people you talk to and the more people you interact with makes more fans, not less. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
The Comicsgate community isn't just a community of creators. It's a customer movement. You know what I mean? We just happen to be creators you know what I mean? We just happen to be customers and creators. We're just part of the movement,
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd imagine, even a guy like EVS, like if he set up a booth at a convention, I bet he'd get a lot of people coming up to him who have never even heard of Cyberfrog, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, you're right. It is almost
hardcore
like
Green Lantern fans and like Cyberfrog. What, you know what I mean? It's like
it's a whole different market. So
yeah, and I mean, think about I have a Captain Love 6-foot Captain Love standee.
Nice.
Can you imagine some big, huge Cyberfrog standee?
Oh yeah.
Everybody want to take their picture with Cyberfrog. I've seen Cyberfrog cosplays. You know what I mean?
It's there's a really good one out there. Yeah.
So it's like it makes sense. He doesn't have to do it, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, he's making his money. He's whatever. But those of us who aren't famous and have a long hill ahead of us, I'm not EVS, EVS isn't featuring me on his show. You know what I mean? It's even though he does like mention my book every once in a while, that does get sales, but I can't count on EVS, and that's not his responsibility.
Yeah.
So I got to think of how to make my book succeed on what I can count on.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people make a mistake. They're like, well, as long as I can just get on EVS's show, my book will get funded. It's like, no, you got to, you can't rely on EVS. Like, yeah, he just happens to be the biggest stream, the biggest show within, Comicsgate and crowdfunding. So
Yeah.
obviously, for promotional purposes, it would be great to be on his show, but you can't count on that. I'm on my second campaign. I've never been on his show, and I don't even think he's ever like mentioned me or retweeted me or anything. So it's like you can't rely on him or anybody, to get your book funded. You gotta have a game plan ready to go.
Yeah. I
And
mean, you really do. You really have
yeah,
to have a game plan. I mean, my game plan was to, to print enough to where if I sold them all, I'd have enough to do another print
hmm
out of the money that I'd pay myself back for the printing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then have money to do more printing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's where I set my worst case scenario at. You know what I mean?
hmm
And I have paid myself back for the printing, and I paid myself back for some of the shipping costs. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Because I look at it like, the printing first, and then the shipping and handling, and then after that it starts taking down the investment that I put into
yeah,
that. I've already, like I said, I've already paid for chapter 1 of the next book to be done, and then
hmm
chapter 2 of the next book is actually in production right now. You know,
nice,
so I'm already ahead of the game as far as money out. But
yeah,
I'm hoping that, because I've proven myself with, the Hero of the Cleansing, this first book,
hmm
that when I come out with these things chapter at a time and showing, hey, I'm doing this, going to be doing this in bites. I'm going to be doing a lot of campaigns. I'm just going to be doing constant push. You know what I mean? Everybody get yourself a chapter to collect. That way you get Captain Love faster. You don't have to wait a year and a half for the story. You're going to
hmm
have the story whenever I can get the chapters done and into your hands. There's going to be a campaign for every, finished chapter, so that you can get it right away. And if you want to crowdfund it, you want to crowdfund the whole book, I'm going to have all kinds of little draw in options and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
hmm
And then it's going to be supported by a subscription style model where you get the graphic novel at the end, and you get every chapter along the
hmm
way. And if you come in at chapter 3, then yeah, there'll be a chapter 1 and a chapter 2 waiting for you. You know?
hmm Right. Yeah, that's you should you think you'd ever be like a publisher at some point? Because I think you're more inclined to the business side of things than most people.
I have some potential plans as far as like what I would do on the larger scale when there's more money to work with. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I said, I have a lot of properties that I want to do for myself. I mean,
hmm
I technically am a publisher now because I've published
Yeah.
this book. I mean,
hmm
and I mean, it's in a couple comic book stores. Actually, I think it's sold out of those comic book stores, and I have to refresh. I'm just not in a hurry to put them in because
Yeah.
the profit margin is so small. I'm like not rushing to fill the comic book stores.
Yeah.
Um, the if I had more of a larger print, it would have been different. My
hmm
my first plan was to have a print run of 5,000.
hmm
Then it would have been about $1.50 a book. You know what I
hmm
mean? And then it would have been easy to get them in comic book stores at that price margin, and then just
Yeah.
dump them in stores. You know what I
hmm
mean? And
Right.
but that yeah, I was even gonna even engage with Diamond and let them do the fulfillment for me, but no, not at this
Yeah.
price range. I can't afford it. It
Yeah.
does not make sense at this price. So my plan is changed. You know what I mean?
hmm
I had a this was my backup. You know what I mean? But I did have to adjust my model because I had to make sure that I could because I was going to extend. I was at 45 days, and to extend the 15 because I had promised everybody shipping by Christmas.
hmm
So to extend that 15 extra days, right, and still be able to ship to everybody by Christmas, I had to take on the printing also before the
hmm
campaign closed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I did. I put all the printing on my credit card, and then still ran another 15 days, hoping that I would make enough between that and then on demand, in
hmm
demand,
Yeah.
to, so it's been a gamble, and it's been worst case scenario for me. You know what I mean? But it's still been successful, you know,
hmm
and
Yeah.
that's the long game. And then now the book is done. If I can keep it in print, right? So this next time I print it, right? You know what I mean? It's going to cost me about the same much if I print the same number. However, this next print isn't going to be the first run. It isn't going to be ones that I have to spend time numbering. You know what I
hmm
mean? I'm probably going to go glossy with it so it's different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There won't be a variant, so it'll be
Yeah.
cheaper that way also. You know, so
Mhm.
it'll be less expensive to run 1,000 books than it did to run these 1,000. You know,
Right. Yeah.
And then you know, obviously, I can still do. I'll be still doing the convention circuit. At that point, other options are available because I'm going to close the campaign when these books are gone. I'm closing the campaign for these books.
Mhm.
You know, however, it doesn't mean that I still can't throw it up on Amazon or have my own shopping cart or you know what I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So you know, so I intend to still sell books like crazy, convention online. You know,
Yeah.
and
Set up a website.
one of my plans is to use Amazon, but I'm not going to have them fulfill. I'm going to fulfill so that I can charge more for shipping and handling, and instead of let Amazon collect my shipping and handling and only you know pay them the dollar cut that they get for posting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There was one campaign that I missed the boat on. I missed out, and the campaign had closed, and then saw people like posting their copy of the comic. I was like, damn, I really wish I would have got that. But the guy actually sold the leftover copies through his website, and so I got it that way. So yeah, I think there is there would be a market to sell them directly through like a website or something.
Especially if I continue to push, because people are going to want, you know, the original cover, even though it's not the first run. You know what I mean? They're not going to be able to get the variant cover. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because it's going to be gone at that point. But they're still going to want to have other collectible variations. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
know, so it might. I mean, obviously, I'm considering doing more of that with other variant covers because it's because obviously that's what it helps to build a campaign. You know what I mean? To have okay, you know, you're going to need the backstory. It's
Yeah.
like it's like you can send you to where these are, but there's also this cover. You know what I mean? And you know, so it's but it's like
You're gonna sell the previous print run on the new one though, right? Like as a separate perk or something?
no, no, no.
No?
I'm not. I'm not going
Okay.
to close the original campaign or put those books on the new campaign.
Got it.
However, Vinny is doing a variant cover for that. So
Nice.
basically, but that's going to be in the, and I'm not going to go like huge on that. You know, what I mean, I'm not going to do the how big that run is going to be basically depending on how many people back it during the before going in demand. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
I probably will overrun it so I can sell more of them. But again, those will be just through the campaign, and you know what I mean. I kind of probably some of those might go with me to conventions. You know what I mean, depending on what the cost is, that kind of thing, because it's a variant cover. You know what I mean,
Right.
but it's not like it's going to be numbered. It's never going to. I'm never going to ever let those go retail. You know, like the variant cover, it's never going retail. You know what I mean? Not through, you know what I mean, if a collecting store is different, somebody buys it and they're a collector and they that it might be seen that way someday. And
Yeah.
that's why it's important to with the graphic novel format that you get your proper barcoding,
Yeah.
because a lot of stores will have to like get some kind of barcode generic on, and that people who a lot of stores won't sell your stuff if that's the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's one of those things you just got to think ahead and think of all your elements. Yeah. So this is a new. So what about the abductables? Now that was a successful campaign, right? How much did you make on that one?
I think the final number was like 7,000 something. Yeah, it did pretty well. We had the same goal as that one. It was a $5,000 goal. I think the total number of backers was 276. So yeah, it was a fairly successful smaller campaign, but we got we had a bit of a profit margin, so it definitely worked out.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. So you gonna do more of those, or?
Yeah, there is a planned sequel for the Abductables. We're hoping to get it out, around summertime. It's just a matter of Canales' schedule, the artist by Canales.
Yeah, I
fitting
know.
him in.
Yeah, he's so
Yeah.
busy. He's so busy. He can't wear a damn shirt.
Yeah. Well, he wouldn't wear one anyway. That's just his thing. But yeah. So if we can figure out the scheduling, we definitely want to do that, because also that's how we would sell those overprinted copies of the Abductables on that sequel campaign. So I think it'll do fairly well. Because I know a lot of people are. I hear from a lot of people saying that they regret missing out on that campaign. So
Yeah. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming today and talking about your book.
yeah, man.
We had a few people in the chat. We got 4 people watching right now. We've had a few people come in and go, and Metal over here is talking about putting his books and floppies in record stores and stuff, which is not a bad idea. Any place you can sell it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely. I keep telling Preston that he needs to, like, because his Rockabilly road trip, you know what I mean? He's got to be creative where he sells that, because I mean, a lot of people pick that up. Just
Yeah, he needs to just like sell them at an actual rockabilly concert or something. Just like
well, even
sell them out
like
of the back of his car.
they're gonna be doing a vinyl thing with the song that goes with the thing. So it to me, it's like it would be a natural market for him to go to all these indie record shops that are out there right now. Almost every town has one. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, just here, I have these books ready. Sell them on consignment for me. Like, oh yeah, sure. You know what I mean? It's like then you just write some paperwork saying how many it was. What you expect to get for each. You know what I mean? Sign it, boom, boom.
And there's like a whole subculture around that, like rockabilly stuff, right? So I mean,
a huge subculture, right?
There's got to be like shows or websites or stuff dedicated to that. So he should reach out to them as well if he hasn't already.
Just I told him to get his butt to car shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You should go to car shows where they have classic cars and all tricked out cars and rat rods and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They have a rat rod, that for themselves that they built, the Devil Driver. You know what I mean? So it just makes total sense to take the rat rod to a car show, park it, and start pimping books.
Yeah, definitely.
People
the hustle never dies.
It shouldn't, and that's the trick to the long game, is like keeping something in print might cost you more up front, but if you build up an IP up, people are going to need that first story. You know what I mean? And then the more popular you are, they're going to want to collect. The hardcore collectors are going to want every cover they can get their hands on. All the variations that it blows my mind. I mean, I'm not a variant collector. You know what I mean? But some people are. I mean, I have moved quite a few variants, and
I haven't dipped my toes in the variant cover waters yet, but I like you said, it is a pretty popular way to sell some books. So I might have to maybe in a future campaign I'll try it out. But
I mean, the variants aren't as popular as the original covers, but they definitely move. So yeah, Metal's all excited. He hears we're talking about the Metal store, and then the big car shows in his town. He has them. Definitely make sure you take your book to their Metal. That's for certain, man.
Yeah.
And then yes, money in the bank. That's the trick. Move in books, and so. Now this book is, you said it's 60 pages, right?
Yep, 60 pages of story. I think, at least for the printer we use, you could really only fit 64 pages in the standard floppy comic. So we'll probably use those last 4 pages for like a pinup gallery or something. But if we did unlock that stretch goal to make it a trade paperback, page count wouldn't really be an issue at that point. But yeah, definitely 60 pages of story for sure, and it's gonna be a lot of story within those 60 pages. So.
Yeah, there's the trick to transitioning between a comic book and a graphic novel is just a few slight design considerations that you need to go into when you're doing it. I have to keep reminding my illustrator, because he keeps designing strictly for a staple stitched layout. You know what I mean? Because we're doing staple stitch and then perfect bound after. But you got to remember the gutter's going to be there, and the gutter eats more than you get in a staple stitch format, because staple stitch opens all the way up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's something people really don't think about, because I've seen that in like trade paperbacks I've read where like they'll have like a 2-page spread and like the middle art just gets totally sucked in. So
so I'm having him design. I keep getting on his butt to not do that. I'm like, okay, like you got to think about this. Page 7 is going to be on the right. Page 6 is going to be on the left. You don't want to have any. You want to have art there for the comic book, but you don't want to fill the gutter. You know what I mean? It's like if you're going to have something go across, you know what I mean? You got to remember that it might look fine in the staple stitch, but when it goes to, trade paperback, you're gonna lose some of that splash element. So make sure that you design it with that in mind. And it's like, it's like one of those things where, it's like he's so used to designing strictly for staple stitch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's just, it's like I have to just keep reminding him, and he does not like to redraw something, so it's yeah. Anyway, so let's call it a show, and thanks for coming out. And then everybody who is still here, make sure that you go over to CG Jumpstart, and he's going to be over there and talking about what he did with CG. So everybody, thanks for coming, and we are out of here.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.